Good afternoon. I need to talk to you about the annotated bibliography and how to conduct research. So you'll notice that by next Wednesday you have your first draft. This is just one entry, so don't freak out about it or anything. So let's just take a look at the actual assignment. So it explains here the details. You can find information about annotated bibliography on pages 357 to 360 in a writer's reference. So look over that carefully. And what you guys are doing is really a shortened version of the rhetorical analysis. So you have now selected your argument topics, and you will begin research, and you will find for Wednesday one source that has to do with your topic, and you will analyze it. And so one thing that's important to note is that you may not use this source later on for the actual paper, because that might be part of your analysis that you discover that it just doesn't work for you. So don't feel like you're locked into any of these sources. But for Wednesday, you will find one source and complete an entry, an annotated bibliography entry. So here is the information here in the irregular instructions. I do ask that you not attempt to use Wikipedia, procon.org, or any website that is a .com. Ideally, we'll talk about that in just a minute when I show you one of the linked resources here. So the annotated bibliography that's linked below is a full explanation of the assignment, the whole assignment. So what you guys are working on right now is just drafting. We are calling this a progressive annotated bibliography because you're only doing one entry at a time. Please don't attempt to do all three or whatever. Okay, so it explains what the annotated bibliography is, and here is an example. So this piece, that's called the citation, and it's in MLA 8th edition. That's what your textbook is. And then down here below, we have the citation, the annotation together. So we have the Charles Colson here, and then this one entry. Notice that this starts with, in this short essay, that's the type of source. And then we have summary. Most of your annotation is going to be summary. Quote very sparingly, okay, only if he absolutely says it better than you can. And then you're going to add in a little bit of analysis. Here is the analysis of this particular annotation. Colson uses fear to try and persuade his readers to see his side. However, his provided evidence does not adequately support his claims. I can use this essay as part of my counterclaim because Colson's argument is not convincing. So analysis takes up a very small portion at the end of the annotation, and you can say whether or not you will be using it in your research paper. So read over the areas of concern, and just make sure you fully grasp what we're doing here. So next Wednesday, you guys will be submitting one entry. So it'll look like this, okay? You'll have a citation and an annotation, and that's it, okay? So I kind of want to move around a little bit. So that's next week. Then the following week, you'll do a second source, just one entry. So you'll have two drafts that your peers will give you some feedback on, and I'll give you a little bit of feedback, not much. Anyway, after spring break, you will find a third source with no drafting. Clean up drafts 1 and 2 and put it all together, okay? So you'll end up with 3 sources total. And also on this assignment, I have a linked full example, okay? So you'll end up with 3 sources total after spring break. And this is how they will appear. Keep in mind that you still need to set up your formatting just as if you were writing a paper. You have the only title you need is Annotated Bibliography Centered. You have the citation, which is a hanging indent, just like the citations we use for the rhetorical analysis. And then your annotation is actually 1 inch left margin. And it does matter. Margins are important. And you go in alphabetical order. So the first author is Colson, and the second one is Pollitt here, and the third author is Shell. And that's what your final annotated bibliography will resemble right after spring break. Okay, so read over this assignment in the textbook. Look at your the information here, and then of course pay attention to samples. Okay, so the first draft, just one entry, is due Wednesday, and then we will conduct peer review. Thanks a lot.